Having surpassed 1,000 completed anime, it's time to review my old favorites and find out what holds up. I'm Sacrabolic, your envoy of hope, and this is Anime Favorite Search. A certain scientific Railgun T is split among two parts. Part 1 covers the Daihase Festival and the level 6 shift attempt on Misaka, and then the second part is divided among 4 characters, each with their own mini-arcs that last only a handful of episodes, all occurring over the same period of time. It's in Season 3 that I think Railgun's flaws really start shining through. Because starting with the Daihase Festival, the main focus character of the whole show is Misaka. And what made Season 2 so strong was its exploration of its characters and the emotional situations they got in. However, during the majority of the level 6 shift attempt, Misaka is in a transformed state where she's not in control of her actions. So we're not really able to explore her thought process outside of she's really pissed off at Academy City, which is something we kind of knew about already. In the early part, we do get some good showings from Kuroko and Best Girl Kongo, but for the majority of it, Misaka is shelved because of Misaki's power causing her to go into lockdown. And then when she finally gets out, she just transforms. And we do get a Kuroko fight versus someone who manipulates liquid metal, whose name I don't recall. But the actual level 6 shift attempt is stopped by a combination of Toma, who has, despite being the main character of the whole franchise, very few scenes in Railgun T, and just kind of ends up in the situation just by pure chance of encountering Satan. And Sogita, who has had maybe 5 minutes of screen time the entire show. So they end up not really having anything to do with the scenario. They're just there because they need someone to shut down Misaka's level 6 form. And it is kind of cool to see the dragons come out of Toma's arm, but it also just kind of one-shots the shift attempt at Misaka. So it ends up having issues with developing tension, which we'll get more into that in a little bit. But it's also kind of undermined, this whole transformation, by the fact that realistically White Wing Accelerator would probably just beat the shit out of like 5.3 Misaka anyway. And I know the Daihase Festival is earlier in the timeline, but Index 3 has already been out for a few years, so we already know that this doesn't go anywhere. And that is kind of the issue that we're getting into with Railgun, and where my issues with Season 3 lie, is that nothing really has any consequence, and it kind of feels like there's not much of a point post-Sister Arc. Maybe when we get more into World War III, we get to see Misaka's perspective more on that. Maybe that'll be interesting, but as it stands, nothing of consequence can happen because of Index, because Railgun is a spin-off of Index. And in the second part, it is kind of cool how they have the overlapping storylines of the different characters, but none of them really matter, and there's some cool concepts with that, like Indian poker teaching people things through dreams, and a half cyborg being turned into a full robot, and delving in a little bit into the concept of the soul, which they end up not having, but maybe they do have at the end. So there's a lot of cool ideas, but they're just not very well explored. And to the point of the little adventure between Frenda and Satan, I find it really hard to care about Frenda after she was so unceremoniously killed in Season 3 of Index. And that really is sort of the crux of Railgun's problem as a series going forward. And there's really no solution to it, because any major character developments the characters have are going to have to occur in Index. It's going to have to occur in the main series. And although Academy City is constantly in danger and constantly going to maybe blow up, it can never actually blow up, because that would have to happen in Index. We can't have Misaka gain any real power. That would have to happen in Index. So going forward, the problem that Railgun would have to solve in a Season 4 is that nothing in the show can have any consequences. What made Season 2 work is that the consequences weren't important. It was the exploration of the characters, but there's nothing really left to explore. No arc that's going to hit Misaka nearly as hard as the Sisters arc. There's nowhere to go with the story. Nothing can happen. And so the ultimate problem that Railgun has is that at the end of the day, it is just a spin-off, and it can't ever be anything more than a spin-off. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrabolic, your envoy of hope. Bye-bye!